Hello from my house to yours. Welcome to EMS at Sea Level. I am joined by Eurocircuits founding partner, Dirk Stans. We've chatted many times, Dirk, and it was exciting to see your news come across my desk about the partnership with, is it Avedon Capital Partners?
Exactly.
Big news for you, big news for the business. Let's start by just exploring how you found each other and kind of what that means to the business going forward.
Well, how I found Avedon is kind of a long story. It started with when, as founding fathers of a company, you think about the long-term future of your company, and as every father dreams of the family taking over, the younger generation taking over. In our case, it became clear 2 years ago that is not the case. So then you start to prepare your company for an external turnover, somebody who takes it to the future and can share this long-term future. And our initial dream of Dirk and I was let's hope to find an industrial group, because we also have an industrial strategy. And our feeling was that those people are the only ones in the market who have a long-term vision. But we came to meet and talk to some of these people. First of all, I was surprised that so few people really realize what we are doing, and that we are really a sheep with another color, and hardly doing anything close to what the other EMS and PCB manufacturers are doing. So first of all, that was interesting to see. And although we are in the market for already so many years, you know each other, and yet there was so little knowledge. Second is that from the industrial part of view, the philosophy was always, okay, Eurocircuits is interesting because the huge number of customers, because the specific intellectual property that we created, how to deal with those many customers, many orders. But then again, if you think about long-term strategy, in terms of long-term strategy, Eurocircuits has a small part in the big industrial group. It always goes away in the bigger strategy of the bigger group, And then you are like fifth wheel on the wagon. And if you then think about private equity, of which were also in touch with us quite a lot, then we had this, Dirk and I and Paresh, we had this typical negative idea about private equity. These are the sharks of the markets that will strip you down and then sell you again for a lot of money. Yeah. and then we came across Avedon, and they came with a well-prepared strategic document, and they have been preparing their market entry for quite some time already, with a consultant, and the strategy or the vision that came out of this document was more or less the same vision as that Dirk and I had for the last years, and what should be done with the company in this market and so on. So that was a very pleasant surprise, and also the way that these people think about long term. They don't think in 3 to 5 years at all. They always think one step ahead, because even if you invest in companies, you always have to think about what's next for the next people that might be interested, and then you create a whole new view on long term, and if you have to decide to what to do with your company, and and bring it into an industrial group as a fifth wheel on the wagon, or make it the center point of the future strategy and a whole new group being built around it, then the choice is easily made. So for the 750 people working for our group, I think it's a much smarter strategy of taking those 750 people in the midst of the strategy and not dangling at the end of the strategy somewhere else in a big industrial concern.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a kind of, it feels like a meeting of minds, but it feels like actually having Eurocircuits, which is a unique business. We've spoken many times, and it feels like it's far from being a Me Too EMS in the industry. It's far from being a Me Too design company. It's far from being a Me Too PCB company. It's quite a unique digitally native operation that you've created. And to make that the centerpiece of a new strategy seems very smart. And it's almost like if you guys sat down and said, okay, well, we've got a bottomless checkbook, what would we do? That's what private equity brings to the party, isn't it? It's the ability to look forward and say, how do we scale this business for the next 5 years? And how do we resource that scaling at the same time? And resourcing it's so important.
Yeah. Well, last Friday, I rephrased it to one of your colleagues a little bit different, but it comes down to the same thing. It's like, Paresh, Luc, and I, we are all in our 60s. And for the moment, we are not in lack of money, but in lack of courage of starting a new long-term strategy now, because we will see the end of that when we are 70 or even past that. So, but in this new setup, you can feel like 40 again, because you know that you only have to start it, and halfway you can hand it over to the new generation. And it's up to them to take it further, and that without saying goodbye, because you can still remain involved. Yeah. You're still co-responsible, because we do remain shareholder, and that so you remain involved in the whole thing going forward, and that is nice.
Yeah, and who better to guide the business you built and transfer that information to the 750 people that you've employed than the founders of the business. Your value add at this stage is really critical. It's just a different world to when you started it and you were bootstrapping the business and you were doing everything yourself. Now it's how do you and the partners multiply your vision? What's the response been like to customers when they've read the news, and how have you kind of explained it
until now? We have communicated rather openly to everybody,
of course,
and the response is very positive, because in the operational part of our business, nothing changes. The executives, they remain, the management stays remain, the structure of the companies, where the customers deal with, the suppliers deal with, everything stays the same. So there is not much to tell on that level.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it? And when you look at your role going forward as founding partner, and your partner's role as the kind of original visionaries behind the business, where do you see that you're adding the most value, and how have you shared those ideas with your new partners?
Well, first of all, Philip, in this new setup, who would be there to talk to you?
Absolutely.
So that's important. That is already one, and no, I don't think it's so simple to replace the strategical thinkers from one day to the next, and that is also so nice about this setup, because whether we got a partner on board or not didn't really change our philosophy of Paresh, Luc, and me, because well, in view of our age, we need to prepare the future anyway. I'm not going to work until I'm 75. Well, maybe I do, but then not at the same pace of what
but
I'm
maybe
doing
not every
today.
day.
Yeah, and that is something that you need to do and prepare anyway. And in this setup, you are reminded that you have to do that. So it's one of your responsibilities, and in which you get help, and that is nice, because if you are not reminded of this regularly, you might forget about it and go on in this convenient situation. But since this convenient situation is not there as it would be when you are alone. And I like that you're pushed to achieve goals, which I like, because otherwise you're sitting there evolving on your merits of the past, and but that is not good for anybody. You need to. I mean, we are already a long time in front of the market, and to keep in front of the platoon, you need to.
You need to
run
move
fast or
fast.
cycle fast, and you move fast. So you need to keep on doing that, and that is nice, because you know that at some point there will be a handover, and when it is, it doesn't really matter if it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Who cares? As long as you are in the situation of
sharing
there,
the vision as you go there. I mean, it sounds like you've nailed both the transition for the business, but also the succession planning, which is kind of how this whole process starts. Thinking about what the next leadership phase of the business is, and you want the business to be in good hands. What I think is interesting, Dirk, when we look even over the last 3 or 4 years, there's been a robust interest from private equity in the EMS industry. It gives you some confidence, maybe not so much on the PCB side. And we've been to, you and I have both been to many events where there's lots of crying and weeping going on in certain sectors of the industry about the way the market is. But there's been a robust interest from PE. Does that really that manufacturing and well-performed contract manufacturing is actually a good place to be?
Well, I asked myself the same question, and I was on one of the seminars from Dieter Weiss and their Simon Meyer, who is a banker and an M&A specialist. He explained it in a very clear way. I think it was 2 years ago on the first seminar that Dieter gave, and he said, why is private equity interested in the EMS, although they have such let's say low EBITDAs to show for?
Narrow margins, and
it is that most of these businesses are self-financed. So if you take over such an EMS company, you don't have to put extra money in it to make it going and to achieve the goals that are already lying on the table. So it's an auto financing business, and it's secure money on the bank in that respect. And if you combine that with let's say a projected growth of 6.5% to 7% for the next 10 years, it is not a daft investment. It's not the best. It's not the best, but it's a steady investment that these people can realize. So
steady CAGR, solid asset base, fairly predictable future, and as you say, fairly solid cash generation. So, and that that allows you to look at building groups and strategies that do allow you to scale if you start with the right business. And I think that's the key in these situations, to have a good business to start with, have a good philosophy that is maybe a little bit different. I spent a lot of time over the last 2 years thinking about what the perfect EMS model is, and I finally realized probably about 6 to 9 months ago that there isn't one. There's maybe 6 or 7 really interesting different models, and they all work in different ways. But if you've got a model that does kind of stand out and isn't just me too, and isn't just scale and price, then there's a lot that can be done for it. And if you can bring like-minded businesses and like-minded people together, the opportunity to scale is exciting. So the future of Eurocircuits is both assured, but also is fascinating. It's going to be interesting for you and your partners to be part of it, but also to spectate the future.
And the big advantage that we had and have already over other companies, because the whole thing going on in the EMS business also has a disadvantage, and that is that everybody is too much busy with the financial side of things. But in the end, we are all technical industrial companies. So the first thing you need to take care of is the technology of your company and the technological understanding. And that is something that is somehow forgotten in this whole whole thing. And we have always put it in the very midst of what we are doing. Technical understanding first, and then comes the rest. Because in the end, your customer is also very technical. So, and that is sometimes forgotten in this whole picture. Everybody. Sometimes when I read these articles about EMS, then Dieter and I joke about it sometimes. I said, these people are just component distributors. The only thing is that they are very sad that they still need to solder the component on the circuit board
before they can resell it.
But in the end, it's the soldering of the component on the circuit board, which is the primary goal of these companies. And we should never forget that. That's the first thing. That's the first priority.
We have to go back to that engineering core. That's absolutely key. Well, congratulations again on having a great succession plan and having an exciting future. The only thing I'm not sure about is that your age really starts with a 6. I thought you were younger than that, so congratulations on that as well. And I really look forward to
63, I'm sorry to say so.
There you go. And I really look forward to next time we meet together in person. But in the meantime, thanks so much for talking to me.
You're welcome, Philip.